remember my uncle got murdered. I remember I was feeling every emotion you can feel. I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm confused. And then when I walked outside in front of that hospital and everything was still moving, all right, baby, I see you later. All right, don't park right here. We going to lunch. It let me know that, okay, my world is crushed in shambles, but the world is going to spin regardless of what I got going on. So when you create your bubble, the people that are within it, that's what they're there for. That's why you got to be real selective with who you let be around you, because when those times come, when that bullshit comes into your life, it's best to have people you can lean on. But it's very important that you find people that are reliable enough to be there for you when life comes and it's something that you can't control. Your circle got to be strong enough to be able to prop you up in those times when you need to be propped up, because if you don't have nobody, it make it that much more difficult for you to keep getting to the finish line. Like,
I'm your professor, I will test you in the worst way. Don't bring a scantron, it's pop quizzes all day. Cause of our chemistry, we do biology. What's good, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber died trying. You see the thumbnail. You saw the clip. Shout out to Chico Bean for that, helps with the topics when you see stuff like this. The world doesn't stop, man. And I've had my fair share of losses. And I've, dealt and helped people through their losses. I can't say help, but been there. But I think that hurts sometimes where, like he said, your world could just stop, come to a screeching halt. You could feel like your world is ended. But when you go outside, everybody else, their world didn't end. What happened to you didn't happen to them. What's going on with you is not going on in the world. And tragedy is going to hit every last one of us. But the days are just going to be different. And sometimes it hurts and it angers you and it upsets you when you see the world moving, because you're like, these people have no heart. Like sometimes even like police, firefighters, hospitals, I was about to say cemeteries, but not coroners. Coroners, yeah, but morticians, funeral homes. People get numb because they see the death so much, and you're looking for those people to have some type of emotion, but for them it's like this is goes on every day, and because you're going through an emotion doesn't mean that they're gonna go through an emotion, and they see people emotional every day. Like you might have lost your loved one, and they get it, but it just happens too much. Some people get burnt out. Like I've known certain like nurses to just say, I'm tired, I can't, too much, it's too much, I just need a break. I can't say I know any cops that was like, it's just too much, I'm done. I knew some that retired but not necessarily quit from all of the quote unquote death or whatever. I know soldiers stay traumatized, but for all of those people who are like, man, like, what is wrong with y'all to not have a heart for what's going on around you? And the sad thing about that is they have a point, but the hypocrisy is there was a time when they didn't have a heart either. They just didn't. Like, you forget that. I remember this because I got he's died. He died years ago. I have a great uncle. And his wife died. My great aunt died. And my uncle he's a character, Jack. But I was maybe 8th grade, freshman, something like that. and he was heartbroken, and I'm there with my mother, and just she's being there for her uncle, and I'm being there, just being a kid there. I know what's going on because it wasn't the first time family member passed away. Because my grandmother and my grandfather, no, my grandfather passed away, and then she subsequently, my grandmother subsequently passed away like the next year or 2 years later. But he cussed me smooth the fuck out because he said something, and I was in a daze because I'm like seeing everything going on around me, and he said something out of the Bible, and I was just like, I didn't know the Bible, I didn't know it verbatim like that. I knew the stories, but I didn't know if you said a scripture. I was like, some of them I got, most of them I didn't, and I was like, what? And he was like, motherfucker. He went off, and I was a kid. I'm like, okay, I just got cussed out by my uncle, cuss out everybody, so it ain't nothing new. But under the circumstances, like his whole world stopped, and I knew that at that age, it's like he mad, you know. And I wasn't on the spot with a response because I was a kid, but I got he was mad, like his whole world stopped, and I'm just sitting here like, I'm not la da 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 da, but I'm just sitting here like, what just happened? He was like, you better focus and get in this moment, you know, and it made me never forget that um, when you're around people whose world stop, be cognizant that it stops. Try to be, because if it ever happened to you, you would know exactly what they were going through. And sometimes you get sometimes you get delirious, and sometimes you don't say certain things, you don't remember certain things, you get flustered, and and ironically, it can harden your heart. You know, you're in a funeral. And shout out to New Orleans. That's where I was born. Um, because I didn't really understand the significance of the second line at a funeral until I got older. For all y'all don't know, y'all bury people, y'all have a wake, and it's over with. Cry. In New Orleans, they have a second line. It's like people do second line on Sundays and weekends or whatever, but it's basically dancing like celebrating a person with a family and friends. They dance. The horns come out, the drums, and they just and and they celebrate their life while they're mourning. So but everybody else doesn't really do that. And I realized from that you want to treat them like the world stopped for them. Even when they're gone, uh, because they're important. And sometimes we got to treat people like we really got to treat people like they're important while they're alive. But celebrating them is definitely a necessity, because you might get bitter when you're out into the world and you're watching everybody else get celebrated, and a person that you love the most, or holds your heart, is no longer here, and you're just there. So it'll piss you off. And I've seen plenty of people pissed off, like, what the fuck are y'all so happy about? It wasn't just my uncle cussing me out, but I think it sucks to talk about, but it needs to be discussed. I'm going to just leave it at that. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll try and catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna say it again.